Tiny Tina's Wonderlands has just launched its first post-launch content for the game known as Mirrors of Mystery, aka the Coil Captors. Coil Captors is a subsection of this entire season pass that we're going to have that's going to have 3 other different mirrors that will have these new endgame style bosses in it. But even with the addition of this post-launch content, the community is not exactly all that thrilled with it for good reasons and bad reasons alike. What's going on, everybody? Byrdman here with another Wonderlands video. Today we're going to be talking about the first post-launch content drop for Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. We're going to talk about all the feelings of this and exactly what my opinion is of it. You can follow me over on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Byrdman778 and use code BIRD at GField checkout. Now, let's dive right on in. Now, let's talk about first exactly how this was marketed. It was marketed as a seasonal post-launch addition to the game rather than a DLC. They have never mentioned that this was going to be a DLC. You can check back at a lot of the different typing and stuff like that. It's not exactly what we would normally get in a Borderlands style game. And they have also mentioned before that this is not a Borderlands game. This is its own type of thing. They're taking different risks and changes with it. So take that as you will, essentially. That's really me not agreeing with it, not disagreeing with it, more just kind of presenting exactly what they gave to us. But honestly, I think from the get-go, this is a really good start, has good bones for what a Wonderlands, Borderlands style game can evolve to, but unfortunately it just wasn't executed exactly how it should have been. This entire video is actually pretty much an uncut version of the entire Mirrors of Mystery. I mean, if you can look at the timer, it's 10 minutes and some change, and that's pretty much the entire thing, which just definitely was not it, in my opinion as well. I think there should have been a whole lot of more meat for this, a lot different tiers to the endgame content added onto here. I think we should have gotten this Mirrors of Mystery exactly how it is, but also gotten something else to kind of help tie us over. Because again, just going back to doing Chaos Chambers over and over and over again to get loot and gear and stuff like that just really isn't going to make the player all that happy. I think Chaos Chamber is a wonderful end game style event, but unfortunately, if it's the only thing that we can really do and it's the most incentivized thing to do, it's essentially going to hurt the player. I mean, do you really, even if a game mode is fun, do you want someone holding a gun to your head saying, hey, you have to play this game only by itself, that you can't, we want you to only look at this one thing? I just don't think that's exactly the best play for them to do. I definitely wanted them to do something kind of like a tiered system of endgame content, kind of like Destiny has, where we have the highest tier being like the raids, the Grandmasters, your Trials of Osiris. You have that mid tier, which is going to be like Iron Banner for PvP. It's going to be your regular Nightfall. It's going to be your dungeons. And then the base level content is going to be like Gambit, regular PvP, and Strikes. That is exactly what Wonderlands needs. And it definitely could get that with, I would say, like the Mirrors of Mystery kind of being more of that mid-level, Chaos Chamber being that base level, and then us having some type of larger endgame content, maybe raid bosses, maybe a heavier takedown like we had in Borderlands 3. Again, this is where I just go back and say I think there's really good bones here. It's just it wasn't executed perfectly. Loot for this new post-launch content was actually really cool as well. We were introduced to the soaked new mechanic where essentially it's kind of like slag, where lightning and frost damage are going to do more damage to enemies if they are soaked, but they will take less damage from fire, which I think is just a really cool like balance between adding that kind of like debuff style mechanic to the game, but while also at the same time not overpowering it by making every single element be extremely strong to it. So that was a really cool change that was added in the Coil Captors, but unfortunately, again, how it was kind of structured has really hurt it. The fact that a lot of this loot that we get in the Mirrors of Mystery just is instantly transferred over the Chaos Chamber completely kills it for me, honestly. I mean, I feel as though that you should definitely have a lot of your content spread out to different areas to incentivize going and doing that. I don't want to, again, I'm just back to doing Chaos Chambers constantly now because that's where all of this loot is going to come from versus going into the Mirrors of Mystery trying to farm those specific bosses and trying to get those specific pieces of gear. Also adding on that, random regular world drop legendaries that are already in the regular game are dropping in the Mirrors of Mystery, so that definitely should be separated as well. When I pay for content, I should pretty much only get that content from that area. I shouldn't get the random bullcrap that I've been getting from the game as is already in that. So again, especially with that wheel and how it is structured around, we'll talk about that here in a second. I just definitely don't think that that was structured all that well. So again, let's separate the post-launch content, the DLC content from the base game. Let's have it be on its own thing. So again, that we are able to just go do that content if we want to, or if I can go back to do Chaos Chambers whenever I want to as well. Again, that separation is just going to be really key for helping the gameplay loop. Let's talk about the enemies real quick. Unfortunately, there's really no new enemies except for Chum, and Chum is not really even that different of an enemy. Essentially, he just has armor on his body for every single week that you go through it. He will get a different piece of armor added onto it, and it will change the mechanics of it. And the biggest reason why we know this is because of the QA testing of the game. Clearly wasn't done because of the fact that we were able to access all 4 versions of Chum on day 1 in the first couple hours. They didn't fix it for some reason. I don't know what was going on there. And again, it's kind of one of those like fumbles for this release that has really hurt it, unfortunately. And again, it's just going back to, I'm just running through here just fighting the coiled enemies. There's not even any new coiled enemies. It's all the same guys. So it kind of just gets really frustrating that it feels as though there was this copy and paste, where I definitely understand the community, that where it's that frustration there. But I will say again, though, the fact that they made these like new different maps in here are really cool. But again, I really want that to be separated. A lot of these maps and a lot of these enemies just go straight over to Chaos Chamber, which again just really hurts it. So I just think there was some weird choices on what they wanted to do. I think they were really eager to immediately get some content out there for people to play once the game was finished. And unfortunately, I just don't think that was the play. I think they probably should have waited like another month, had people digest a little bit more, and add a lot more content on here. So again, you're not having people complaining about it so much. I just want to kind of give my overall opinion of it. If I had to give this like entire PLC, DLC, whatever you want to call it, like a rating out of 10, I would generally give it like a 5.5 to 6. Again, I just really think the bones of this are really great. Something that I've always enjoyed about Destiny was the weekly seasonal content that they had in it. And then when Wonderlands was like, hey, we're going to do something kind of exactly like that, I was so freaking excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have these really unique stories that we're going to be able to experience every week. Tina or Vesper, that is, telling it to us and finding out all this new different like random lore, because again, this is a bunkers and badass style game. Having lore in this is so freaking cool. Chum's the old guy. We're going to find out more about him obviously as the weeks go on, but unfortunately just the execution of how much content we have in this just did not hit. Again, if you look at Destiny, season 16 was probably like one of the longest and biggest seasons. They added the ascended plane that you're able to go to and kind of fight different enemies every single week, find these different mysteries, get these different trinkets and whatnot. And then you would also go into Astral Alignment, where it was that more multiplayer PvE based mode, kind of the exact same thing. I mean, there was a story behind it, and you had like specific loot that was tied to it for you to go into and enjoy. That was really fun. Even though, again, it's one of those kind of like checklist style items I don't know if Borderlands land style players are really ready for. I think it was definitely a good change and kind of helped, I would say overall, just give us something else to do. But unfortunately, again, this just wasn't executed all that well. We do have like these certain weapons that are only available for the people who buy this Coil Captors, but again, the fact that it just goes back to Chaos Chambers and isn't tied to the mode itself really does hurt it. And also the fact, again, it's just kind of lackluster. I mean, unfortunately, the Mirrors of Mystery is essentially just another Chaos Chamber, and actually you really only have to fight a total of 5 enemies the entire time. If you look at the first level, it says like kill the guards at the front. To move forward, you only have to kill like 3 or 4 of them, and then there's a middle room where it's like that sand oasis room where you have to kill the hammerhead. And then after that, it's just chums. Like the rest of this, I don't really have to fight anybody. That middle room that we saw us just like standing in before, it's time gated. So I could just like stand in the room somewhere for 3 minutes and wait for it to go all the way through. In these 2 rooms that have these different little totems here where I have to spin the dial, all I have to do is spin the dial and then I can jump through the portal and then it's done with. So again, it's just like poor construction of how this goes. I think this should have been maybe some type of like chase chum through the different levels, or fight a random unique mid-boss or something like that. It's just, unfortunately, they kind of took the side objectives of the Chaos Chamber and did them again, but unfortunately, there, again, just wasn't incentivization to actually just fight the level itself. I really do like fighting Chum, though. I think Chum is an awesome boss, but I will say, I mean, at level 1, you're coming in here and like almost instantly melting him. He's really not that hard to fight. Hopefully by week 4, he is even better to fight, but I don't know. We'll see. Fortunately, was able to do the level 4 version of it within the first couple hours of the game, and it's harder, but like at the same time, again, it's kind of lackluster at a certain point, because it again just feels like kind of like a Chaos Chamber copy and paste. call me a shill if you want, call me a Gearbox fanboy, whatever. I do think, though, we should still try to support this. I think this is, again, really good bones, and from the feedback that I've been getting from being a next maker and stuff, it does sound like that there is going to be a push to try to fix a lot of these issues and learn from them. So again, I think it's good to have hope for this, especially for the fact, again, Wonderlands from the get-go was like one of the best Lands games that we've ever had. So the fact that this is like their first try at doing something different, it didn't land, they're going to learn from it, we're going to move on from it. Again, though, I do think as though constructive criticism is always going to be something good to give to developers and to publishers, just because it will give them something to work off of to help the community. Again, let me know down below what your thoughts were on the PLC coiled captors. Let me know what you're thinking. What would you have changed in it? And again, just try to have the best attitude as humanly possible. Again, having a bad attitude doesn't really do anything for anybody. We can all learn from it. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you guys had a really good time. Make sure you're following me over on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Byrdman778 and using code BYRDCHIEF. Checkout. Hope you have a great rest of your night, day, whatever it may be.